And when he finally reaches, let's make this something like that, all right, just for our diagram. So therefore, the allegory then has its 4 divisions. The 4 divisions represent each of these different ways of what we call cognitive functions. Therefore, the whole goal of education is to take man from this image thinking. People who think this is the only reality, the visible world, this is the only reality, right? They're caught in the cave. That's cave-like existence. Once you begin to see that you're really being guided in your thinking by certain beliefs that others have in some way engendered in you in the process of education, then that's the realm of belief. It's necessary, therefore, to see that when you're considering that this is the physical world is the only reality, it really comes from people who persuaded you of that, and you have to recognize who it was who taught you those things, under what circumstances you accepted it as true. Right? Then, breaking the bonds of that loyalty bond, you then enter into the realm of understanding. Therefore, he calls this the realm of opinion. He calls this the realm of the intelligible. What is behind this, the source of this, and the source of this, and the visible world, this is the sun. This is the idea of the good. Or, beyond the whole thing should be the good itself. Now, he then goes through, we're now at the end of the allegory, he then says what the goal of the dialectic must be now is that you must then be able to turn the dialectic on each one of these and talk about it in precise terms, to be able to discover its origin, what maintains it. All right? And you should be able to then to see how it relates to one another and all the ways in which it can be combined. Now, remember we talked about this as an allegory. This is really, this is cut in such very clear terms. The divisions between these are established in what is called Plato's divided line, which is in Book 6. The allegory of the cave fits the divided line. He returned to this. This is the divided line, which you take a line and you cut it. You cut it into greater and lesser, right? Greater and lesser, and then you take that same ratio to the greater and lesser, and cut it proportionately. And if you do that, you will create, therefore, a mean analogy. Right? In terms of their divisions. Therefore, these two are said to be equal in some interesting way, and they are. Now, this analogy can be transformed in 4 classic ways, right? Therefore, these can be arranged in 4 classic ways, as represented in the following way. And okay, A is to B as B is to C. Image thinking is to belief, right? As understanding is to knowledge, that's 4 terms. 4 terms. But he constructed it in such a way that these two we said are equal. Therefore, we can call these two as equal and take them as 1. Therefore, we can now reduce them to 3 terms. Therefore, we have image thinking on one extreme, and the other extreme is knowing. And between these two, we can call it opinion. Therefore, we can say image thinking is to opinion as opinion is to knowing. These are the 4 ways in which you can transport. There are only 4 ways in which you can express these 2 terms. And you can compare them then in the way in which you do it, and the realm of opinion, the realm of the intelligible. That's the goal of the dialectic, to do that. You should then be able to relate it to the allegory, because that's where you got your divisions. You should then be able to see the 7 stages between it. These are the 4 stages. Those 7 are the processes. and you put them together, that's called the allegory of the cave in the upper world. It leads the soul from that practical universe, which we call it, which we've been often told is the goal of all of our studies, except when you get into Plato and philosophy. I have a quote. I want to read the quote. Ah, there it is. We shall then be content, we are content then to call the first knowing. He uses the word science, but the word science obviously didn't exist in Plato's day, and I'm just taking that out and using the word knowing. The second understanding, the third belief, the fourth conjecture, these last two together we may call opinion, and the first two the exercise of reason. Opinion is concerned with becoming, exercise of reason with being. And what is to becoming, the exercise of reason is to opinion. And what the exercise of reason is to opinion, that knowing is to belief, and understanding to image thinking. But let's leave this aside, Glaucon. The proportion between these lines which represent these and the division of the opinion and the reasonable, each and two, we shall have our fill of many times the number of discussions as we've had before, if we are going to explain them and make them clear to everyone, right? That's right. Right? He's reserving this. This is our task if we understand the allegory of the cave in terms of the allegory of the cave and the divided line. We should then go through making all of our what is it he's saying, what is being said as you take each one of these and represent them in this way. Then you're seeing what it's like to relate all the different aspects of mind. These are the different cognitive functions of mind. You're seeing, therefore, how each of the levels or the functions of the mind and its four classifications can be said to be related one to the other. That's the goal of the dialectic. What does it relate then? Relates to the allegory of the cave in the upper world. That relates to the divided line. And now, last step. Remember the title of this lecture? I said I misrepresented it. I represented it originally as Plato's allegory for the training of the soul. But you see, what it really is Plato's Republic as the allegory for the training of the soul. This is saying Plato's Republic as the allegory for the training of the soul. You can put the whole Republic in it. I'll show you what that means. We should be able to now go back into the Republic and see where he talks about each one of these in the Republic. We should be able to go back into it and see what the people are going through as they go through the 10 books of the Republic and what he's saying about people in each one of these books. You know what we can do then? We can use this as a table of contents. We can cut out certain key sections of the Republic and glue it right into our allegory of the cave in the upper world. Then we can take the greater divisions and see what he's saying about each one of these, cut them out. Then we can see the processes going through. Remember the 7 processes we talked about? We should be able to go back in the Republic and look for examples right in the Republic where each one of these things is being discussed. You can do that. That's understanding Plato's Republic as the allegory of the cave in the upper world, as the training of the soul into the realm of the mind. Thank you. Questions?